Hi, everybody. My name is David Mashian, and I'm Dave the Real Estate Guy. Today, we're going to talk about what your client wants, right? They want confidence. What does your client want? You really need to understand that because you got to put yourself in their shoes. We talked about that a little bit, but this is critical for you to understand what they want because how are you going to know what to give them unless you know what they want? So, right now, we're going to cover what they want so now you know what to give them. First, they want confidence that you know what you're doing. Okay, they want to know that you're competent. Okay, personal history and track record, the client comes first attitude, market and product knowledge, knowledge of current events and economy. So basically, you know your stuff. They know that you know your stuff and they're not wondering if you know your stuff. Okay, now the more sophisticated the client, the more sophisticated the broker. So a lot of times they may just like you, or but they want to know that you know your stuff. And so even if they like you, they want to know that you know your stuff. So you got to show them, like with a personal history and track record. You want to put that in a bio or a resume or something in your marketing that shows them, right? Client comes first attitude. That's you. When they call you, you call back for sure within 24 hours. Don't wait for them to call you even. Call them, right? Market and product knowledge. You're on top of the beat. You know what's going on. You're making your calls. You know what's going on in your market. You know the listings in the market. You have a good database of contacts. Okay, knowledge of current events and of the economy. You're following up on the news. You're watching the news. You're aware of what the interest rates are and how lending is and how this impacts everything. This is all critical. The more you know like this stuff, the more confidence you are and you know this stuff, the more confidence they're going to have in you. It's going to be more sure bet that they're going to pick you because you know what you're doing than somebody who doesn't. That you're going to represent them well. Okay, they want to have confidence that you're representing them well. Okay, you are the difference. Your ethical standards. That comes down to trust. One word. If they trust you, they're going to want to work with you because that's not often. Okay. I've had clients tell me, I like you. I want to work with you because I trust you. Maybe I didn't even know something. I had somebody give me a development deal and I never did a development deal in my life. And they wanted to work with me because they trusted me. So I did the deal. I did the deal. I sold it. But it was that trust that got them to give it to me. Okay. Open cooperation among brokers. The fact that you're openly cooperating with brokers gives them the trust that they know that you're out there working for their interest and not yours. Okay? You have a good company platform. The company you work with is respectable, reputable. Okay? And your company has a good record of success. They want to feel confident in you and your company. So confidence goes into your information, your analysis, that your analysis is accurate. So when you're now analyzing a property, you want to know the sale and lease comps are accurate, that the market knowledge, that you have the market knowledge and history cycles, and and you also have the property knowledge, tenant interviews, history, chain of title, that you've actually gone to the property. Okay, I know that sounds silly, but you have driven by the property, maybe walked the property, and maybe even gone inside the property with permission on a tour to understand the property. So you have an understanding of the property that may be way better than the owner. Okay. So your ability to communicate and analyze what you've analyzed, to communicate what you've analyzed, is going to bring confidence to your clients. That's going to give them confidence, even if they don't really understand what you do, or maybe not even necessarily agree, but at least they know that you've done your homework. Now, also having confidence in that you will do what you promise. Now, we talked about this. Clients do business with people they like and trust. right? How do they begin to like and trust you? How do they know that you will do what you promise? You start with the simple things. They call you, you call them back right away. You say you're going to be there at a certain time, you're there at a certain time. You say you're going to call them at a certain time, you call them at a certain time. You say you're going to give them a contract or whatever it is, you do it within a timely manner. And you be proactive. You don't wait for the client to come to you and say, hey, what's going on? That's too late. You need communicating often and reporting and communicating in person. Unless their preference is text or emails, whatever, if that's their preference, that's fine. Build a relationship with the client. Find a way to identify with them, right? Maybe you don't have much in common, but there's going to be some things that you have in common with them. So build a relationship with them. Know your client profile and needs. Now, when you're meeting with them, it's good to have a notepad and write notes. As they're talking, you're asking questions, write notes. When they see you writing notes, they're like, oh, wow, this guy's really paying attention. And so they kind of start paying attention too. You want to ask, well, is it an individual? Is it a family trust? Are they a syndicator? Is this client a REIT, a real estate investment trust? Are they a servicer? Is this a receiver? Are they an REO? Are they in foreclosure? Is this an institutional lender that has properties? Is it an insurance company that you're working with? Are you dealing with a bank? Is this a vulture fund that you're working with? Whatever the situation, they're going to have different needs. And so you're going to have to relate to them at their level of need. You must be able to give your clients the information they need to make a buy, sell, list decision with confidence. So you need to relate to them at their level. If you can't, then the odds of getting the business or closing on the business are low. And it sometimes may not be your thing. I've worked with banks. I know banks are not my thing. The way they operate is so different. I work with individuals or families or syndicators. That's been my bread and butter. Those are the people I've worked with at length. You need to know the market. We already touched on this a little bit, but basically you need to know the market history and what are the trends. What's the cash flow of the property? Are there any environmental risks? I looked at a property once and I talked to the broker and I said, "Do you realize there's a gas station right next to you? Did they do an environmental to see if there's a plume of possible leak under the ground?" They didn't. They didn't do their homework. You want to know economic data and risks. You want to know what the client's exit strategy is. Are they going to just cash out and pay the taxes? Are they going to do an exchange? What are they planning to do? Why are they exiting and what are they going to do with the money? How are they going to do it? What's the future potential for this property? Is it a development? Is it just more of the same? Can you bump up the rents? Okay, any recent news or the politics that may affect this situation? And of course, what's the client's tax planning and 1031 exchange needs? You also want to know sales history. So when you're doing an analysis, you want to know what the sales history of the property is, but what's been the sale history of that asset type in that area? You want to know what's the owner history, owner story and history. You want to know what the market rent history is. Did it just all of a sudden boom because some big employer came in and is sucking up all the square footage in the area or all the apartments or whatever they're doing, right? You want to know asset value perspective, right? What's the future potential of this property? Where are we in the market cycle is where you want to know. Are we at the peak, at the bottom, in the mid? Are we coming up slowly? Are we going to crash down fast? What's moving the market? And the markets are very different. Each cycle is very different. Also, geographic knowledge. What's happening in the area? Is there developments happening? Are they putting in freeways, widening streets, putting in street lights? Is there Amazon coming in? Whatever. What's going on? And employment and growth. Is the area or is the state and city area, are they experiencing population increase or decrease? Is the income going up or down? Is there high unemployment or no unemployment, right? And also business diversification. What's the mix in the area in terms of businesses? Is it mostly a bedroom community, or is it like a big industrial area, or what's going on? What's the area mostly about? All right, guys, that covers a lot of things about what your client wants. You should be able to have a good grasp of it. I'd say you want to make some notes and actually create some questions for yourselves as to what to ask a client to understand what their wants are. Each client is different. All right, we're on to chapter 28. See you then.